I should explain that I grew up in a very old house. Everything in the house was old, and the house, of course, things, and as in old houses, things often need repairs. And if it was structural, something was leaking, you'd call a repairman. But otherwise, it would never occur to anyone to call a repairman. Like the time we got holes in the roof over the sun porch. My mother looked at it and she'd say, well, what does it look like to you? And we'd discuss it. And finally, she set me out on the roof with a paintbrush to paint petals around every single hole on that roof. So they became the centers of flowers. And we had the only roof in Ann Arbor that had daisies on it. It was very nice, and nobody noticed the holes.
My name is Shoefly Sally, sir. I've traveled far and wide. My box of biscuits on my back, my hound dog at my side. My shoe-fly pie is much admired from Fairbanks to Bombay. I learned to bake from a talking cake at the Sunnyside Cafe. It's there the gypsy pancakes shout when the chicken sucks its thumb. The kettle sneeze, the teaspoons tease, the soporific sun, till it falls asleep in a field of sheep, and the great bear starts to roar. Let the moon and Riddles diners throw wide its silver door. It's there the hopple popples dance and the emerald antelope sing. My dog's as welcome as myself, his name is everything. Conductors ask us where we're bound and wait for me to say the Moon and Riddles Diner, sir, and the Sunnyside Cafe. The train I took to Buffalo was 20 hours late when the Buffalo King began to sing. His voice was a squeaky gate. He asked me when I rose to go, will nothing make you stay? I said the Moon and Riddles Diner, sir, and the Sunnyside Cafe. The train I caught to Kankakee got stuck in Belchertown. I gave my heart to a gap-toothed boy who hoped I'd settle down. He asked me why the wild geese fly 500 miles a day. Said the Moon and Riddles Diner, sir, and the Sunnyside Cafe. One more time. He asked me why the wild geese fly 500 miles a day. I said the Moon and Riddles Diner, sir, and the Sunnyside Cafe, and the Sunnyside Cafe.
But I was also allowed to play with a lot of odd things in the house. Odd things because they were odd to me because they were old. And my favorite room was the kitchen. There was a drawer of kitchen implements that had the things in it like, it had an egg beater, it had strainers, and then a lot of old implements that had been my grandmother's. She grew up on a farm in Iowa, so some of these I didn't even know what they were for. But, so why did we keep them? Because we never threw anything away. So I would put all these implements out on the kitchen table, and they all had names and personalities, and I would act out little dramas with these. Those were fun. And when you think of, say, a traditional storyteller in a village, you could be telling a fairy tale. You really are telling to everybody. The children are in the front row, so you tell something for them. But the parents and the grandparents are all in the back rows, and so you put something on a different level for them. The story, the folk tale, the fairy tale is really for everybody. And I think that's why these have lasted so long. And I think adults are as much interested in fairy tales as children.
The Moon and Riddles Diner, it's half a smile away. The snow and reindeer gather where the emerald antelopes play. Their saxophones by starlight, they clap for the hooting moon. When the croaker bees choose to drop their shoes in the lap of the silver spoon, you'll hear the teapot crooning in a voice like the morning fog. A ballad of the riddling ghost and the brave Chuggamonga frog. The specialty on starry nights is sweet tornado brew. It comes with wood chip chili chips and sneaky sneak a stew. And I've dined at the Woolly Bully and the Flying Fish Cafe. At the Ruby Owl I started to howl when they thought I couldn't pay. And I got thrown out of the chocolate trout for teaching the clams to bite. But I love the fiddles at the Moon and Riddles where they let me dance all night. The Moon and Riddles Diner, it's half a smile away. The snow and reindeer gather where the emerald antelopes play. Their saxophones by starlight clap for the hooting. When the croaker bees choose to drop their shoes in the lap of the silver spoon. When the croaker bees choose to drop their shoes in the lap of the silver spoon.
And then sometimes I'll put them in different settings to see how would they act in this setting. Are they comfortable? How would they look in this setting? You eventually begin to find the personalities, but you just watch them as you would with anybody to try to see where they're comfortable. And I think if I knew where the ideas came from, they wouldn't be so interesting. You like to be surprised. But it was great fun for me to actually see that diner set up and to see how those characters moved. The one that, because you have some feeling of what they're like, but you really haven't seen them move. You haven't seen the claw man. You know he's surreptitious, but you haven't seen him dart around like that. You have to have film to do that. The one that was the most fun for me to see, I think, in the diner scene was the cat's cradle. I was part of that scene. I know how it was done. Ken's hands were one pair and I was the other one. We were wearing gloves and we were doing the cat's cradle. And we were the angels. You only saw, of course, our hands. But when I saw the scene on film, I couldn't believe that those were my hands. It really looked as if the angels were doing it.
Let the pamplemousse grab my galoshes and the butterflies button my hair. Tell the Buffalo King when he gives you his ring that we're going but no one knows where. People say that the moon has a dark side and the sun won't remember my name. But I'm coming back with a song in my pack and I'll sing you to sleep all the same. Hey diddle diddle, the moon told a riddle, first to the bread box and then to the bun. Bow to your partner and strike up the fiddle, tickle us, pickle us, sweet potato son. Let the pamplemousse grab my galoshes and the butterflies button my hair.
all this